As a tarot reader, I often see people in a very vulnerable state. People come to me looking for guidance or advice on a situation happening in their life. Some people crave clarity in a messed up and confusing world. Some people are just looking for the light at the end of their dark tunnel, depending on what they're going through in life. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Sienna here with a brand new video for the first time in a while. Today, we're going to talk about how to be an ethical tarot reader. I want to talk about 4 different things in this video, but they will be in no particular order because I think the 4 points that I want to make are of equal importance. The first thing I want to talk about are what I call third-party readings. Most people, I think, are good and just want to check in and ask about their loved ones because they care. But sometimes people can take that a little bit too far and start asking things about others that are not part of the reading, about things that are definitely none of our business. I go into it in greater detail on my website, siennarose.com, but I'll just sum it up here in this video real quick. Some people are nosy and want to know things about others that it's really not their place to know. And as a tarot reader, it's not your place to tell them. So for example, I've had people come to me asking about their children, underage. Actually, I guess it doesn't really matter, underage or grown, but asking about certain specific things about their children, or asking about, I've had a teacher ask about their students before, personal things about their students. I've had employers ask about certain employees that they have. And it was not done in a way that was very constructive or in a way that would actually help the client themselves. When you give a tarot reading to someone, to a client, the reading should be about your client only, unless they have someone else literally in the room right beside them giving their explicit consent that it's okay to read on the both of them. But I don't often allow this. I usually just do one-on-one. While some people are genuinely concerned or curious, we can't trust that everybody has good intention. Some people, like I said, are nosy and want to disguise that with a facade of being, oh, I'm just so concerned about this person. So let's say you're a tarot reader and you have a client come to you and you're maybe reading on them, things are going fine, they want to talk about their family. Okay, that's okay, we can read on family, we just got to be careful how we do it. And then they say to you, you know, my nephew is 21 years old and has never had a girlfriend. Is he actually gay? That is not something that needs to be covered in a tarot reading. That is general snoopiness being disguised as curiosity and concern. Don't let clients ask these kinds of things. I have like a myriad other examples I could use, some of which you'll find on my website. But that is not something constructive that we could talk about in a tarot reading. Basically, do not let your clients ask about their children / students / people that they have authority over in a way that would give them personal information that the third party did not consent to. Respect people's consent, especially those who are not part of a reading. There are ways you can work around this, though, whilst staying ethical. If somebody really wants to know something about their loved one or their family member, whoever, we can always just say, well, I think that's a conversation you need to have with him. By pulling cards and answering these third-party questions, by allowing clients to ask these kind of things and do readings on these kind of things, not only are you helping your client to violate that third-party person's trust and consent, you're also undermining your own reputation as a tarot reader. In the same vein, I'm just going to say don't use the tarot for gossip. You will probably get answers, but not ethical. Just don't. Just redirect these questions. Make these questions to be more about your client than about the person your client is asking about. For example, instead of letting a client ask about, is my teenager getting into X, Y, and Z activity? I need to know. You could pull cards on, well, what is the best way to approach this topic with your children? What is the best way to be open and communicative with them? What's the best way to communicate with them in a way that they will understand and be willing to open up to you? That way, you're not helping a parent or guardian overstep the consent of their children, and you're not putting the energy out there that you are unethical as a reader. Always turn it back around on the client. Make it so that you can ask questions like, well, what can you do? Is there anything you should say? Or how should you bring up this conversation? Sometimes if something can't be redirected, or if the client pushes and wants to keep looking at this third-party thing, you can just say no and move on to the next thing. The second thing I wanted to talk about was just the frequency of readings and the amount of time that elapses between readings on the same person. Always make sure that if somebody wants multiple readings on the same topic, that enough time has passed between readings for your client to absorb the information, put certain things into practice, and watch how their situation changes. We also want to make sure that we don't overschedule or have multiple readings on the same thing too close together, because we don't want to be accused of taking somebody's money. Maybe we can read on topic A and then 3 months later look at topic A again. If they want to read on topic A and topic B, we can do topic A and topic B in the same reading. Or we can do topic A in one and topic B a month later. I've had to tell people in the past that they need to wait and give their situation a little bit more time before coming back for another reading. It also just comes down to giving your situation time to breathe. You can't just ask over and over again on the same thing and expect different or clearer answers every time if you're not giving your own situation time to breathe. If you're not giving yourself time to take the inspired action that you need to take. Or if you're not giving your clients time to take the inspired action they need to take. Basically, just be mindful. Some people will give you the express permission to do multiple readings for them. I have clients that used to do monthly readings, and when I brought it up, the matter of finances and, I don't want to be taking too much from you, but I do need to be paid for my work. Are you more comfortable with spacing the sessions out? I've had clients say, nope, I'm good. I can afford this. It's fine. If they explicitly tell you they can afford it and it's fine, and they're choosing to have multiple readings again and again and again, use your discretion. But I really think you shouldn't be reading on the same thing more than once a month, depending on what it is. And basically just don't take people for a ride for their money. Most of us, we already know that though. The third thing I want to say is this. Don't sugarcoat, but be aware of the language you are using when doing a reading for a client. And when I say language, that could include swearing. Some people are not comfortable with hearing and using swear words. So you kind of want to gauge whether your client is okay with hearing the word shit or damn or whatever. Some people just start off the reading, how the fuck are ya? Just go from there. Use your judgment when it comes to cursing and stuff like that. I personally try not to do it, but sometimes stuff just slips out, in which case I excuse myself. But I actually wanted to talk about more than just swear words. Okay, I want to talk about sensitive topics. Sensitive topics require extra care. You really, really have to be careful. I'm going to tell you a story, an example from my real life. I had a tarot reading done at a street fair about a month ago, as of the time of recording this. The psychic was really good. She knew her stuff. She's a very, very good tarot reader. But she said a couple things that rubbed me the wrong way. She straight up asked me if I had had an. She also asked if somebody in my family was. You'll notice I didn't say those words out loud, and it's not because I'm afraid to. It's just because YouTube has really strict rules on censorship and demonetization if you say the wrong thing out loud. So you'll find I did put those words up on the screen instead of saying them out loud. Now, those are not bad words per se, but they can be very jarring to clients. I know that it was jarring to me when she said that. From also being an intuitive person, I was kind of tuning into her energy while she was reading for me and tuning into mine. And I felt that she had a good intention, but that bluntness, it's just like a part of her personality that sort of leaked into the reading. Again, don't sugarcoat. Be really, really careful how you word things. So what can we do instead? If these difficult topics, let's just use those two things that I mentioned. Let's use those as an example. Let's say this stuff does come up in a reading. How do we express that to the client in a way that is sensitive and caring? Now, thinking back to the tarot reading that I was given last month, instead of asking me point blank, did you have a... She could have said, I see a pregnancy loss. We can use that term. It is still triggering to some people. And I'm very sorry if this part triggers you. She could have used that term. She could have said, I see that in the reading. This could have been you or somebody close to you. Now, in reality, it was neither of these things that I had gone through. It was actually just a scare that ended up being nothing. But that was how it came up in the reading. Now, about the second thing, when she asked if a family member of mine was, she could have said, I see that somebody in your family is really struggling with their mental health. When is the last time you checked on this person? I think it might be a good idea to call this person today and see how they're doing. Yeah, that one was a little hard. That one was a little hard for me. I ended up, yes, I did check in on this person. No, they were not. However, they were struggling with depression and worrying about what their purpose was and just really doubting their life path. Some people are very, very triggered by the word. As you can see, I have it printed up on the screen. So we could, if it does come up in a reading and it is so important to that reading, we could just use other words to describe it, such as we could say somebody was responsible for their own passing, or somebody ended their life, or we could say, like, let's say your client is okay with this and has the sense of humor to be okay with this. And if they mention it first, we could say like they unalived or they self-deleted. We don't want to be silly about it, but I'm just saying those are alternative things we could say. I would have appreciated it if the tarot reader that I spoke to didn't just point blank ask that. If the person I loved was, yeah. Basically, just be careful. Just be careful of your wordage, what kind of language that you use. Get to know, if it's a client, if it's somebody that you know personally, you will have an easier time gauging how you want to word things. If it's a stranger that you're reading for, or you get the sense that they are more sensitive, you really, really have to be mindful and take your time with these kind of topics. The last point I want to make is this, and I think everybody who is an ethical and good person with a good heart already knows this, but be honest. Do not try to interpret something that you're not getting clear intuitive hits on. So for example, maybe you're just seeing the image of a manatee shows up in your mind's eye, and it's very clear and it's not going away. But you don't know why the manatee is there. Your spirit is just giving you this manatee and not like the context of why. So, some readers might feel the pressure to interpret that as, oh, trip to SeaWorld, or oh, trip to the ocean, when really the manatee could have just been a symbol for something, or it could have been a stuffed toy someone had. So how do we express this then? If we're seeing the manatee and not really seeing what it's about, what do I share with the client? Just tell them that you're seeing a manatee, that it's okay to say, I don't really know why this is here or what it means, but this is what I'm getting. A lot of times, stuff that comes up in readings that doesn't make sense right away will make sense later. I've had so many clients email me back like weeks, months later and be like, hey, that thing we talked about that didn't make any sense, it actually happened. Or like, I found something in my, family member so-and-so's house that is exactly the thing you described, right? So it's okay to let some things be open to interpretation. Never, ever, ever make stuff up. Your job is not to perform. Your job is to relay a message. Don't go the Sylvia Browne route and think that you have to perform and that it has to be miraculous and astonishing every single time. Sometimes we're just relaying simple messages, and that's okay. That is more than okay. I would rather give someone just a basic, boring message that comes up in a reading. I would rather give them that than make up something that they would rather hear and then compromise my reputation, my identity as a tarot reader, and compromise my own personal and spiritual karma and all that. That's just not something that's not a box worth opening. So just never make stuff up. If you don't know something, just be honest and say you don't know. Sometimes you can revisit a part of a reading that didn't make sense. You can revisit that later in the reading, or cards that you pull throughout the reading can actually relay back and relate back to the thing that made no sense. Sometimes these things will solve themselves, but if you really, really are not getting intuitive hits on something, it's okay. There is nothing wrong with not being a perfect reader. Just please don't interpret things if you don't know really what it means, and don't lie. I think I want to put in here too, is we have to be very careful that we're not just telling people what they want to hear. Everybody loves being told what they want to hear, and we want to make people happy, and we want to tell people, we want what comes up in the reading to be the things that they want to hear, but sometimes it's just not. And that's where the no sugarcoating and being aware of your language comes in. Just always make sure you're telling the truth, even when it is hard to do so. Basically, use your best judgment. Don't make stuff up, and use your best judgment. So those were the 4 main points I wanted to discuss when it comes to being an ethical tarot reader. I do have a video on my channel already called The Ethical Psychic, which is more about just giving psychic readings, and I think I go into mediumship a little bit in that video. I'll throw a card somewhere around here. So if you would like you can go check that out. I highly recommend you go check that out because you can get a little bit more information that I wasn't able to provide in this video. Also, check out santarose.com, my website, not just for, booking and self-promotion, but because I go into greater detail on what a third-party reading is and more ethical ways to give and receive tarot readings. Did any of these strike a chord with you? If you've had an experience with an unethical or maybe just too blunt or something of a tarot reader, definitely let me know in the comments. If you've had experiences with great, excellent tarot readers with wonderful ethics, share your story in the comments. I really love reading about other people's experiences. If you are a tarot reader aspiring, I hope this video has helped you. I have a whole playlist of videos for psychics and mediums, and I think you'll find a lot of value in that playlist. I will link it in the end screen, so make sure you stay to the end. All right, and that's all I got for you guys this time. So thank you very, very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm happy that you're all here, and I'm going to talk to you again later.